Story's getting good. Let's go.
Regardless of her actual contribution. The situation reached a new low when Jessica tried to involve my mother. She called my mom crying and claimed that she was pregnant and didn't know what to do since I'd abandoned her. My mother, who had always been polite but never particularly warm toward Jessica, immediately called me to ask what was going on. I was furious that Jessica would lie about something as serious as pregnancy to try to manipulate my family. I assured my mother that Jessica was not pregnant and explained the real situation with the house ultimatum. My mom was appalled at Jessica's behavior and said she was glad I'd found out who Jessica really was before making an even bigger commitment. I started documenting all of Jessica's attempts to contact me and all the places she was showing up. Her behavior was becoming increasingly erratic and intrusive, and I wanted to have a record in case I needed to take legal action to make her stop. Update 3. 2 months after our breakup, the house purchase was finalized and I moved in. The feeling of walking into my own home for the first time was incredible. Everything about the house represented years of hard work, discipline, and smart financial decisions. I felt an overwhelming sense of pride and accomplishment that had nothing to do with anyone else. About a week after I moved in, I received a call from Jessica's best friend, Amanda. She said she'd been feeling guilty about staying silent and thought I deserved to know the truth about some things Jessica had been saying and planning. Amanda revealed that Jessica had been talking about the house and our relationship in ways that were completely different from what she'd told me. Apparently, Jessica had been planning to use the house equity to pay off her student loans and credit card debt once we got married. She'd calculated exactly how much money she would gain access to through our relationship and had been treating the house like her personal financial salvation. Even more disturbing, Amanda showed me text messages where Jessica had been talking about upgrading to a richer boyfriend if our relationship didn't work out. She'd been browsing dating apps and had specifically been looking for men with higher incomes and better financial prospects. Jessica had apparently seen our relationship as a stepping stone to financial security, not as something valuable in itself. The final revelation was that Jessica had been telling her friends that she was just tolerating our relationship until she could find someone better positioned to give her the lifestyle she wanted. She complained about having to pretend to be interested in my hobbies and had mocked some of my friends and family members behind my back. Amanda said she'd finally decided to speak up because she couldn't stand watching Jessica play the victim when she'd been planning to use me all along. She felt like I deserved to know the truth about who I'd been planning to marry. A few days later, I hosted a small housewarming party with close friends and family. It was a celebration of my new home and a chance for everyone to see what I'd accomplished. The party was going perfectly until Jessica showed up uninvited. Jessica had apparently found out about the party through social media and decided to crash it. She walked into my house like she had every right to be there and immediately started making a scene. She accused me of stealing her future and said that the house should be half hers since we'd planned it together during our engagement. The guests were stunned by Jessica's behavior and her obvious sense of entitlement. She was yelling about how unfair it was that I got to enjoy the house we'd supposedly chosen together while she was left with nothing. She claimed that she'd contributed to the relationship emotionally and that should count for something in terms of the house ownership. My friends and family rallied around me and made it clear that Jessica needed to leave immediately. Several people pointed out that she hadn't contributed a single dollar to the house purchase and had no legal or moral claim to my property. Her meltdown in front of everyone finally showed them the entitled, manipulative person I'd been dealing with. After Jessica was escorted out, several friends apologized for initially thinking I might have been too harsh in my response to her ultimatum. They said that seeing her behavior at the party made it clear that I'd made the right decision in ending the engagement. Jessica's final desperate move was to threaten legal action. She claimed that I owed her damages for breaking our promise to marry and that she should be compensated for the time and emotional energy she'd invested in our relationship. She seemed to genuinely believe that her hurt feelings translated into some kind of financial claim against me. Update 4. 6 months after moving into my house, my life had completely transformed. I was hosting family dinners in my dining room, had set up a home office where I could work remotely, and had created exactly the living space I'd always dreamed of. The house felt like home in a way that no apartment ever had. I'd also started dating someone new. Emma was a nurse with her own apartment, her own car, and her own savings account. She was impressed by my financial responsibility and independence rather than seeing them as opportunities for her own gain. When I told her about the situation with Jessica, Emma said she couldn't imagine feeling entitled to someone else's assets just because they were in a relationship. Jessica's legal threats had come to nothing. The lawyer she consulted told her that she had no case for any kind of compensation or property claim. Engagement doesn't create legal obligations around property ownership, and her ultimatum about the house actually undermined any argument she might have made about shared expectations. Meanwhile, Jessica's financial situation had gotten much worse. Her sister had eventually kicked her out for toxic behavior and constant drama. Jessica had to move back in with her parents, which was humiliating for someone in her late 20s. Without my financial stability and support, she was working multiple part-time jobs just to pay her basic expenses. Most of our mutual friends had sided with me after witnessing Jessica's manipulative behavior and learning the truth about her motivations. The friends who'd initially criticized my decision to exclude her from the house purchase now understood that I'd been protecting myself from someone who saw me as a financial target rather than a partner. Jessica made one final desperate attempt at reconciliation about 8 months after our breakup. She showed up at my door on a Sunday morning, looking tired and defeated. She said she'd learned her lesson about what really mattered in relationships and that she didn't care about the house anymore. She just wanted me back and was willing to sign any kind of agreement that would protect my assets if that's what it took. I listened to her speech calmly and then explained that her ultimatum had revealed something fundamental about her character that couldn't be changed or forgotten. She had tried to manipulate me into giving her ownership of my most valuable asset by threatening to leave. She had seen our relationship as a business transaction where her time and emotional investment should translate into financial gain. The irony of the situation was perfect. Jessica had threatened to leave me if I didn't give her control over my house. She'd been so confident that I would cave under pressure that she'd played a game of relationship chicken and lost everything. Her attempt to gain financial security through manipulation had cost her the actual security and support that our relationship had provided. I told Jessica that I wished her well, but that we could never rebuild trust after what had happened. She'd shown me that she valued my assets more than she valued me as a person, and that wasn't something I could overlook or forgive. Looking back, I realized that Jessica's ultimatum was actually a gift. It forced me to see our relationship clearly and understand that she'd been planning to use me for financial gain rather than building a genuine partnership.
I'm glad her friend fessed up about that. That's all good and well. I'd have been disappointed if he gave her a second chance because she would have just planned it out. You see how she built up? She tried to date up if the whole thing didn't work out and she was preempting all of it. Nah, come on. Come on. Nah. I wouldn't even allow her to talk to me if I was in his shoes. Am I wrong? Tell me what you would have done if it was you. Let's talk about that.